eu tô conseguindo realizar o sonho de todo mundo que joga. E sem dúvida nosso time fez história.
Mas a gente sempre trabalhou bastante para chegar onde chegamos agora, que é o sonho de qualquer time brasileiro.
Mas acho que a gente vai se preparar bastante contra eles. A gente já conhece muito deles. Vai ser muito legal jogar contra, para ver como a gente está, para ver se a gente consegue bater de frente.
And Kaboom Esports from Brazil are going to the World Championship.
Mas não vamos parar assim, tem que melhorar muita coisa ainda e acertar muitos detalhes.
Congratulations to Kaboom!
Cada vez mais eu acho que a gente vai melhor no Mundial.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. We're about to kick off our next game, which is between Najin White Shield and Kaboom Esports. We're going to talk a little bit about Najin White Shield first. They're the number 3 team from Korea. They actually had a very average summer season, but they ended up going 9-1 in their regional qualifiers, absolutely obliterating KT Arrows, KT Bullets, and SK Telecom T1K. They impressed me a hell of a lot. What about yourself, Prolly?
Yeah, I'm actually a really big fan of Ggoong. Similar to Pon, he's been able to kill FLICKR in lane, which is not an easy feat to do. So Ggoong's champion pool alone is actually very big. You think that he's going to be playing kind of like the utility mids that have been, sweeping the nation in a way, but he's actually been doing a lot of Ahri picks, which are throwing a lot of teams off because people will pick Ahri thinking, oh, this is a safe pick. But when you have a very aggressive Ahri player, Ahri becomes very risky now, and it will make every single team kind of play different.
I think the most interesting thing for me for this team is that the way they won their regional qualifier was playing these team comps that are so risky. You had Cassidy in top, Janna, Ahri, and Illusion, and maybe like a Lee Sin jungle. You need to be very skilled mechanically and as a team to be able to pull this off, and not many teams here can do that.
Yeah, about the Kassadin top, it's actually really strong for them because Ggoong plays at mid. So they pick Kassadin, and now the mid laner can't just pick whatever he wants because it could be cast mid. The top laner can't pick whatever he wants because it could be a cast top.
How much are we expecting Najin Shield to show up from the regional playoffs, and how much are we expecting Najin Shield to show up from the summer OGN champions? Because they were two vastly different teams. Monty was saying that Najin Shield, watch in particular, he felt that in the regionals was the best he'd played probably ever. Doublelift, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, God bless Monty Senpai, because he said that Najin Shield played the best he'd ever seen at the regional qualifier, and it's true. That was the best that I've ever seen them play, too. So if there's any chance for a Korean team to be upset, it's right now in this group, because they're up against, Kaboom, they probably are going to win, but their group is not easy. I mean, they're up against Alliance and Cloud9 later on, but even Kaboom, potentially, they can win lanes and snowball early game.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Kaboom. It is the all-Brazilian lineup. They're coming into this tournament. They're once again the massive underdogs. Dark Passage really set the tone, I think, for international wildcard teams. Kaboom will be looking to one-up their Turkish rivals, and they'll see what they can do against Shield.
Yeah, they're actually there's an interesting story behind Kaboom because they actually never finished above even top 3, I think, within their region, but they magically started winning at the end, went through that regional, then went through the wildcard qualifier, so they're on the upswing right now. But I think they can be upswinging a lot, but it won't be enough to upset White. I don't even think it's remotely even possible. Yeah, they might win lanes, but then they'll just strategically be still outmatched. I think it's going to be very hard for Kaboom to win even a match in this group stage. Crumbs has his hopes on at least one.
I mean,
He's been right before.
But then again, he's been right before. He's the problem about Crumbs' prediction. So
well, I bet on Shield, and I'm wrong with every prediction, so Kaboom's probably going to win, statistically.
So for Kaboom in this particular matchup, they've got, as you said, they've come from the Brazilian squad. TinOwns is 17, turned, old enough to play this year. I quite like the story of their AD carry was Dan's. He moved into the support role when they brought in Minerva. Minerva was a player that was playing support for them. He was mechanically better. Dan's was the shot caller, much like BB was from our Taipei stage group. And the AD carries, their shot callers don't tend to work out. Once Dan's took over the role, he squashed the rest of his scene. Actually took out a few Koreans along the route by taking down, I think it was Keyed Stars in their semifinals. Maybe they've learned something. Realistically, other than what we were saying last week for Dark Passage, is there a strategy they can employ other than winning lanes or cheesy picks? Do we really feel there's absolutely no? I mean, Korea has gone to Brazil before, and Brazilian teams have beaten Korean teams in the past. I mean, incredible miracle, they went down.
Korean team, not teams.
Team, touche. What do you think?
I mean, to be fair, last week we were saying about AHQ, yeah, they need to play like early game picks and try and snowball the game. But when AHQ actually switched back to their normal strategy, they actually ended up having a bigger shot. Then again, I don't think we can really start comparing AHQ and Kaboom, but you can only vary from your normal style so much to the point where it becomes counterproductive, right? If you go full early game, but you don't even know how to play full early game, then you might just want to play your normal style and pray that you get lucky enough to transition into a decent mid game and try and get a lead. But it's really hard to judge.
You know, Kaboom is the massive underdogs here, there's no doubt, but I do think that they have a chance to expose potentially Shield's weaknesses, because, you know, if a lane wins or loses it, let's say, for example, TinOwns wins lane against Ggoong. I mean, that's a pretty massive weakness that they can later use to expose within, like, later other games in the group or even in their next game versus Shield.
Let's expand on this thought a little bit. The players are getting themselves set up, so we will be jumping into the game shortly. But, you know, talking about that, Najin Shield, they play Kaboom today. Tomorrow, they play both Alliance and Cloud9. So Alliance and Cloud9 are going to be watching this game with a fine-tooth comb. If you and your team were sitting in one of those green rooms watching Shield, what is it you're looking for? What is it that we as viewers should be looking out for if you want Alliance and Cloud9 to beat them tomorrow? Prolly, let's start with yourself. I mean, what are you watching? What are you looking at?
I would say from this game, it's going to be hard to tell a lot because I don't think White Shield's going to have to try that hard to win, so they don't have to expose much of their play. So I think what Alliance can do and what C9 can do is tell their warding patterns. Find out how mid lane wards, how bot lane wards, and kind of see where their jungler tends to ward and just use that, because that's going to be the same in every game.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you go, if the White's going to go meta picks, right? They're not going to throw any curveballs at Kaboom right here. So like the only thing you can do is see if there's trends that they might do the same thing. If you've done your research, you maybe have seen like, you can watch that 9-1 run they did, right? You can watch how they exploit their early game into mid game, their warding patterns. Maybe they do the same thing. Maybe they switch something up. Do they do that because it's against Kaboom? You never know, because there's too many variables.
Well, we will find out shortly because we are about to get to the game. So players are set. Let's head back over to D-Man and the crew at the caster desk.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. So let's get right down to the game. Starting out on the blue side, let's go through the lineups for Korea's Najin White Shield. In the top lane, it is Save. In the jungle, we have Watch. In the mid lane is, of course, Ggoong, the AD carry, Zefa, and alongside him is Gorilla on support.
And on red side, it's Brazil's Kaboom Esports. We have Lep in the top lane, Danagorn as the jungler, TinOwns in the mid lane, Minerva as the AD carry, and of course Dance, the shot caller, as the support.
And I really do hope that these guys go with their signature champions, the most comfortable champions that they can bring out. Because that's how you want to start out the first game of group stages. You want to start out on very solid ground.
And we just have to say it, and as just talked about it, Kaboom Esports here are the underdogs for the game. But they have some, they've showed some good games. Lep in the top lane for me is one of the best top laners in Brazil, if not the best. If he gets to play a champion like Aurelia, I know you have your little story. He might be able to actually get a lead early on and try and punish Save. I know it's not going to be easy to punish a guy like Save.
The biggest thing is they've beaten Koreans. You know, the two Brazilian teams that pulled them in, obviously Pain and Cade All-Stars, pulled in Korean players. They got beaten. This is an all-Brazilian lineup up against a full Korean lineup this time around. Maybe a different story.
Some Koreans play in the Champions League, and they're a bit different. But
Easy there, Kobe.
This is a very, very strong Najin White Shield team that I really enjoyed watching on their 9-1 run.
Oh, yeah.
They showed so many different strategies. That's the thing. Talking about them showing strategies, they have so many different things that they like to use, so many little things that they use on that 9-1 gauntlet, and they still have more left in the tank. Really, I think, like the analyst desk said, it's going to be about those performances of the individual players. Is Watch actually back? Is he going to continue to perform on that level?
Yeah, that absolutely is a big deal because he performed out of his skin in the qualifiers when it counts. And a lot of people said, you know, he stepped up. This is his third World Champions for Watch as well. So we'll see whether he can deliver this time around. He feels there's a lot of pressure on himself. Zillion Bad, no surprises. This time around it's from Najin White Shield. Jinx banned out. It was, of course, Minerva's champion he played throughout those qualifiers. So a little bit of research coming out from Najin White Shield here against Kaboom.
Yeah, simply just target some comfort picks here. And then the Marcari ban. Najin White Shield in their regionals, every single game, 10 out of 10, they banned Marcari. Safe, he doesn't play it. We've seen him use it once in Korea. They did win the game, but it's not his style of champion. He wants to play carry top laner, so this Marcari ban is going to be banned by White Shield pretty much every single game.
Everybody talks about how Ggoong and his assassins, though. First pick Zed, that is not too shabby, especially in a game where we expect there to be, some early kills and some solo kills here. Ggoong on Zed is going to be
That's confidence right from the start.
Oh, yeah.
That's a simple confidence pick. I can pick this completely blind into whatever you choose.
Also, Zed doesn't actually have that many bad matchups right now. So it's definitely, of the champions, very easy to blind pick.
I mean, Zillion has been banned already, which is one of them who can mess you up in a team fight. And obviously TinOwns as well. He showed his Orianna in the qualifier, was great, which is not really a matchup you're afraid of if you're playing Zed. So easy first pick coming in from Ggoong, and I've actually seen Save play Zed top lane as well. So it could be a bit of a flex pick here for White Shield. It doesn't have to go mid lane straight up. It was in solo queue, don't worry.
Well, I'm pretty sure he played one professionally as well. Okay. So yeah, top lane Zed is always an option. The Kayle response, though.
I mean, there's top lane Kassadin.
We always like the Kayle response to the Zed picks there, so you don't have to use an exhaust. You can use the intervention.
But the thing is, that's a Kayle pick, possibly in the top lane. And it is one of Save's big champions. He went 4-1 in that on Kayle. So he knows exactly what he's up against if that is a Kayle in the top lane.
And taking away Kha'Zix here, mousing over this jungle Kha'Zix for a watch, I would be very excited because Lee Sin's already banned out. This should push Danagorn onto Vi, one of my personal favorite champions, and also a champion that you can combo with a mid lane like Syndra for that level 6 kill.
And let's just talk briefly about Najin White Shield and the kind of comps they run a lot. They often run without any kind of hard engage. And the way they actually get kills and push objectives is by controlling minion waves, and then they rotate between the lanes extremely fast, and they can dive onto you on the towers here. They often run with a lot of single target CC. You have Thresh already locked in, a lot of burst potential single target. You have Kha'Zix locked in as the jungler, and you just go to this tower here. You have the numbers advantage. You land a hook, you land some CC, you kill down the first target, and then you take the towers.
Also, they love picking people off before they head to the towers. Kha'Zix and Zed, perfect at getting a solo kill,
exactly,
grabbing one of those.
I just feel disappointed in Zefa Gorilla.
Oh, you know,
where's the Janna, man?
Where's the Janna? He said, I want to show the world Janna. So everybody stole it from him in Taipei.
Think about that
he's upset. He's going for Thresh.
Thresh is one of his main champions.
Yeah, he's main champion.
He's 7-2 on Thresh. Okay, yes, he was the one on the forefront of this Janna just tidal wave of Janna players over here for the group stages, and he wanted to show everybody. But Thresh, this was the original go-to for him.
And just look at the lineup here from White Shield. There are no real hard engage, because they don't play Maokai, who's one of the hard engage top laners you can have here. They don't play it. Instead, you can do 1-3-1 split push now. Zed in one lane, Ryze in the other side lane, and then you have Corki sitting in mid lane with the Kha'Zix pick as well. And you just split up the enemy team. You push down every single wave. You go for these one-on-one kills. As soon as you get one kill, or you force two members from the team to defend one of the side lanes, instantly you collapse on the mid lane, take the tower here, and watch. He's a jungler. Again, also from talking with the players who's been scrimming White Shield, he actually doesn't sit in his own jungle. He walks into your jungle, wards everything, and then he just takes over the entire jungle, which means when you have these split pushers going and you're pushing down every lane, and you have your jungler already sitting in the enemy jungle, you have full control of the map, and it's impossible to move around and react in time. I like White Shield.
So it's we can tell.
Picking Janna against Gorilla. There you go. That's. We'll see how that one works out. I'm not sure if he'd be happy about that, but nonetheless, we're going to see it out. I'm interested also, a Kayle versus Ryze in the top lane. Surely that's going to be shoved straight on towards Save.
Yeah, Kayle can just push the lane pretty much non-stop. You just have to be careful. There's not going to be a gank, which is why we can see Danagorn look towards the top lane early on, buy time for Lep to just constantly push in the top lane and apply pressure on Ryze.
Lep's actually got to be careful pretty early on, too, because if Save starts with that mana crystal, he can trade extremely effectively.
Oh, yeah,
you can bully down. A level 1 especially, you can take advantage of Kayle. This Ryze is very, very dangerous early in the match.
It's all about for Lep just pushing the lane. Don't take a bad trade. Try and deny farm by pushing Save down, and then you can potentially go for a dive because you do have Kayle and Elise. It's a great dive combo, especially at level 6 for Kayle when you have the ulti. Reset tower aggro for Elise, and then try and kill Save. And ignore the rest of the map. Only kill Save.
Well, so what do we think? What do we think overall? Obviously, Najin White Shield coming into this one, gigantic favorites, no doubt about that one. Team comps coming in there. Do we see anything, maybe a saving light for the Kaboom guys? A lot of fans out there. Go Kaboom hashtag is a big deal.
So they do have Janna on their team, but the thing is, Najin White Shield, they like to jump in and jump out very quickly anyway. So Zed and Kha'Zix, if they can jump in, kill somebody really quickly, there might not even be time for Dans to actually save their target. So Lep, it's going to be on Kael to have very quick timing with his Kael ultis.
Well, as we load into the game, head over to Twitter and tell us what you think. Of course, who will win this matchup? Tweet us hashtag NWS win or hashtag KBM win. Or go Kaboom, whichever you prefer, at LOL Esports, and we'll check out your votes in the game. Prefer KBM win, though.
KBM win. Well, looking on the side of Kaboom here, they have a lot of options in the mid game because TinOwns, he can go DFG as his first item. You have the Lucian pick up as well, very strong in the mid game. Same goes for Corki on the side of Zefa, though. But still, there's some mid game options here for Kaboom to try and look for a snowball, to be honest.
And the thing I really like about the comp here from Kaboom is this is actually kind of a Najin Shield comp here. They've got 5 range champions. One of my favorite comps from Najin White Shield was their 5 range composition where they dealt with hard engage by kiting backwards and single target, switching, calling target switches very, very quickly. So this is actually, they're playing sort of the same style of game here, and it's going to come down to execution.
And it gives a lot of wave clear on the side as well because you have the Kael pick. Just gonna check and save here, not a lot gonna happen, but a lot of wave clear as well inside of Kaboom here and a lot of options to deal with Ggoong in a team fight. It's gonna be all about Lep trying to handle one-on-one against Ggoong in the late game if we're gonna get to that point with the split push going on.
And when we do get there, like we said, it's gonna be all about the timings of those ultimates because they don't have exhaust.
Look at this. Is Minerva going to stick around in the mid lane? I wonder. Showing himself on Ggoong. He's going to head down towards the bottom. But he stayed there a very long time. Should get in time. Dan's is coming up. Or are they going to go for a change?
This, I don't know. Well, it looks like they're just going to do a regular start here. Double down bottom. I have to say, though, the no exhaust is very worrying against a double assassin team here.
So what happened here at level 1 was actually Najin White Shield wants to make sure they get standard lanes. If you look at your minimap, all the way down the bottom lane, you see a ward by White Shield in the lane bush. Simply to spot in if they can see Minerva and Dance move in to start the early push, and then they know they're in the bottom lane and they can go down and get the 2v2 lane.
What's super rare though is they actually leashed red buff to give jungler a much easier start, so they get shoved in.
See how that plays out. If you've just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, this is game 2 getting underway. Group D. Najin White Shield versus Kaboom. Flash straight away from Gorilla on Minerva there. Bottom lane, if you haven't seen it before, it is Zefa on Corki and Gorilla on Thresh versus the Brazilians. Minerva on Lucian versus Dans on Janna.
And look how Gorilla was able to take control of this lane there. He shoved it up with his Targon, then gets another flay.
Wow, there's a lot of damage on Minerva. I'm not sure if they were responding quickly to that one. A double flay working wonders for Gorilla. Death Sentence does not land.
Never, ever, ever stand next to your AD carry if you're the support against the Thresh, especially not in the early levels because he can walk up too easily, get double flay, both members, and you automatically win the trade because Thresh got the 2 members flayed over here. Easy times for Zefa. And even though they were leashing the red buff, they managed to get the push going because they were so aggressive in the trades. Now they got the early level 2.
So double buffs for both junglers. Watch on Kha'Zix versus Danagorn on Elise. We'll see how it works out, but it's Lep in the top lane, putting the damage down on Save. Save quickly turns down with a Rune Prison, blast on towards him. It's a pretty even trade between the two.
Looks like they've got extra warding here for Najin White Shield, but Lep is working without that bush ward. Watch on the top side, completely ignoring it. They're going to let Save get pushed to his turret and just try and CS at his turret because he still does have half a mana bar.
And look at this top lane here. We talked about how Lep, he wants to just push the lane from the start, deny farm, or at least make Save lose some farm under this tower here. And you actually saw Danagorn instantly start his blue buff, go red buff, and be on the top side of the map to make sure if Watch was there for an early gank, he would be able to counter gank.
He's going to get
and sadly, he's gone back into his jungle, and now Watch is coming towards the top lane.
Oh, the Death Sentence lands on Dan's, and once again, Zefa goes in for it. The flay on Minerva, the Ignite goes down. Zefa's the secret target they wanted. Dan's gets away and they cover it off. Meanwhile, that was happening. We did see, of course, the top lane was pushed in. Lep gets away cleanly from Watch.
Yeah, they got the flash though, so not too clean. He had to burn a very long cooldown, and that opens up some opportunity because he's going to be shoving constantly. Now without the flash, they have to be very careful with their warding. Dan's is going to have to help him with that.
And down this bottom lane, it was a little bit too easy for Gorilla to just stand in the bush here. There was no wards from Kaboom, even though actually both members had the trinket ward ready. You have to ward your side bush here against the Thresh, because if you give him full control of the bush, he will always land the hooks and he will just deny you. He will force you to stand onto your tower and just wait for the minions.
Danagorn, he's really counting on this gank though. They feel like it's going to come up to the top side because it's a Kael, flashless, constantly shoving here. So he's just waiting in this top side. And it hasn't paid off yet because Watch hasn't gotten up there. Save does have his flash though, so it would be very easy for them to set up a gank before Kael hits level 6.
I wonder if it's counter coverage. The flash was just burned. Watch is now heading up there for a return trip, but immediately backs off, doesn't go for it. It does mean that Kaboom are safe for now in that top lane. Lep wards out the river. They will spot him out. And TinOwns also putting that ping down. He was spotted though.
Yeah, there's that ward coverage. The whole team was going to have to help Lep with that defensive vision control, and they do finally secure this top side for him. However, it cost Danagorn so much time. Danagorn constantly camping up in this top side bush, whereas Watch would take a camp, come up for a small window of time, and then return to the jungle, take another camp.
So the reason Watch actually didn't go for the gank itself was also because Najin White Shield is calling the bluff here from Kaboom. Lep was sitting with his ward and he didn't place it. He just kept pushing, kept pushing, kept pushing. He didn't care. So they knew, okay, if you're this aggressive, you have backup. It is 100% sure. And until he actually walked down and warded, they knew now Danagorn was scoring his.
The death sentence, surely. Can they lock on towards him? First blood is imminent. They're going to flash for it. Zefa gets it. And now Dan's turned the focus. He's put pressure on. Now we're going to see TinOwns. Can he make a revenge?
He's roaming down. He does have level 6 ready, but they've got a minion line to protect him.
Yeah, that's perfect timing. Najin White Shield back off. The minion line will block any charms that he can try and throw through there. And that actually buys time in the mid lane for Ggoong to farm.
I have to say, Gorilla is just manhandling this bottom lane. Flay after flay after flay, constantly walking up, setting up his own hooks. Beautiful play so far from Gorilla. His play is definitely holding over from that gauntlet.
Again though, Kaboom is not respecting the wards down this bottom lane. Let's see what happens here. They want to go for Ggoong, and he just dashes over the wall.
Protecting that pink ward. It does mean the Watch is nearby. Danagorn actually nearly went out of position, nearly put himself into harm's way as Watch comes down to cover off Ggoong.
I still wonder if TinOwns in this mid lane want to get an early DFG. Of course he's getting the armor. He wants to have it early against Zed. You want to have your hourglass ready. Otherwise Zed can just all in you if you don't have the Kael ulti to save you. But again, down this bottom lane, Kaboom is not respecting the presence Gorilla has in the lane. They're not warding enough in the side bushes, so he can just walk into the bush, force them back every single time, and then he can land an easy hook or land a flay. Oh, here's the second one.
Just like that, Gorilla goes in once again. The flay is down, the Ignite's going. They're going to tower dive it. The Ignite's burning. Zefa goes for it. One more shot should do it. There it is. He will take tower damage. In comes Dan's. He's got the support of Danagorn. Can they lock on towards him? Howling Gale's what's required to shut them off. He hasn't got level 6 yet. Hasn't got that monsoon. Watch comes across. TinOwns misses the charm, and they disengage.
And people wonder why there's no Janna pick coming in from Gorilla. He's actually only picking Janna when Thresh is banned. Every single time it's open, he will pick it. And we're seeing why in this game.
That's a very, very good pink ward to place too. Whenever you gain control of the bottom lane, getting down one of those pink wards to ensure not only that you'll have vision of the gank, but you can also control the entire river if you have control of that lane. And we saw why there. Getting these hooks from Fog of War have been pretty much the whole story of the bottom.
So Watch smiting out, he's clearing his lane. Ggoong taking some more damage from TinOwns, who's held his own so far in this mid lane, but Ggoong with the farm advantage is not a good sign at Zed versus Ahri.
Zed versus Ahri is such an interesting matchup too, because post level 6, it's all about can Ahri time the charm with Zed's ultimate, because every time now you know he's going where he's going to spawn behind you. Whoa!
Oh, they're going to try and turn this one around. Gorilla took a bit of damage this time around. Will get slowed down. The double tap from Minerva, not going to be enough. Flash away from that dead sentence. Zefa still going aggressive. This is tricky play between the two, but he has the damage to back it up. There goes the Howling Gale to knock him away. And that was a fairly even trade this time around between the two.
Yeah, a lot of damage here back and forth. Gorilla actually walked into the minions, had all the minions on him as well, but then he just flashed away, managed actually to force a flash as well. Let's see what happens. Sorry, he didn't flash himself, forced a flash from Kaboom.
Also, they called in watch down bottom because they had that pink ward, that control over the bottom lane, the full vision, just in case anything from Kaboom, if there was any aggression to come backwards.
And both top laners have used the teleport. They know Danagorn has been up in his top side for pretty much the entire game long. So if you get one kill in this bottom lane, instantly you can just rush Dragon, pick it up here, get even more gold. You see White Shield still staying around. We want to see where Elise is.
And you can tell, Danagorn, he's only up here looking for counter ganks because as soon as they saw Watch was down in the Dragon Side River, he backed off. Now he's waiting around to see if save will extend.
He's going to have to use Spirit Rush to get out of this one, so TinOwns' ultimate is down. That does buy them time. Tries to go back in a little bit aggressive there. Danagorn.
Save's pretty far up.
Kaboom is respecting save too much. Lep was doing fine in a one-on-one. I know you want to shut down Araya so early on. TinOwns, he's in trouble.
He's had to flash out of that one. He's going to get flayed up. There's the ultimate from Ggoong. Everybody piles in. Gorilla took a lot of damage towards the end there. Now they're going for save. Cocoon dodged out of nicely by save, and he is away free.
I love that mind game from Danagorn, though. You can see what he was attempting to do. Flashes in with the Q instead of flashing in with the Cocoon, and then tries to hit the post-flash Cocoon. But he missed that anyways. Didn't matter. And the answer, obviously, from Najin White Shield is going to be the Dragon because their jungler showed up top and failed the game.
Yeah, White Shield has just been staying around this Dragon for the last 2 or 3 minutes. Watch has just been sitting in the river, waiting to see where Elise was on the map, instantly go for gank in mid lane, and take the Dragon here. So all their time Kaboom is investing into trying to kill Save in this top lane didn't pay off yet. They haven't got 0 counter ganks from it. Forced his flash, so now we actually need to see Danagorn come back to the top lane and try and kill Save if they want to get anything from all the time invested up there.
Well, this bottom lane is a serious problem. When all 3 lanes are stepping up and winning, it becomes a gigantic problem. Zefa trading with Minerva once again. He went aggressive for this one. Forces Zefa to Valkyrie away. Danagorn though, oh, they're collapsing on towards him. He doesn't get caught by the void spikes. That won't slow him down. Throws out the Cocoon, which will not land. It's a tricky back and forth. Ggoong fancies this one. Puts a lot of damage on towards Danagorn. If he can take the jungler down, manages to rappel away, gets caught out. Is not safe though. The rest of his team not backing him up. Watch jumps in, and that pulls out the Monsoon. Lep in the top lane. Save going aggressive with him. Seems to have his number now in that top lane as well.
And every time we see a fight at the bottom side of the map, White goes there instantly.
He's going straight in for it. Death Sentence does not land. The Ignite is down. That's going to force Minerva away. But the aggression from Najin White Shield now is very much on. Watch comes around, tries to lock in towards Minerva. Finds him with the void spikes. I don't think he realized it till too late. And doesn't follow up.
Yeah, he doesn't have flash, so no. Okay, here goes dive.
Oh, dive on the tower. Ggoong, is he going to have enough? That's the question. TinOwns gets popped down, takes himself the shadow, completely fools the cameraman, and gets away clean.
So much damage from Zed here. If you don't manage to land the charm, as you pointed out earlier, he will be able to kill you doing his ulti here. Watch taking over the enemy jungle now. Up in his top lane. Danagorn looking for another gang on to save.
They're both going in towards him. Have they got enough this time around? It doesn't look like it. They're going to try and lock around. Watch will come around. They're going to clean out that blue buff. Save all. Oh, the Cocoon this time. Now will it be the first kill? It will. And Kaboom finally strike on Najin White Shield.
So they managed to get a kill in this top lane now. On to save. They've been there so many times. Now they get the kill. Gorilla's already up in his top lane because the bottom lane, Zefa, he can handle himself. Time for Gorilla to roam around. You also see the early mobility boots for him on this thresh.
Well, the Gorilla is absolutely the king of the jungle, so he can just go around and ward out wherever he likes.
Did you pre-plan it?
All right, so we do have to say that right there, that single move was a very bold move from Save. That was an over-aggressive move, trying to walk back through the turret to his lane. However, he was already 30 CS up in this lane, so that's already a full kill's worth of gold right there for him. This rise is going to be a huge problem later in the game. And he was already bullying his lane in just the mana building phase of Rise. He didn't even have completed items yet.
There is a giant gap building between these teams, and Kaboom are seriously being left behind. Danagorn taking some burst from Ggoong there. 140 to 108 CS in the mid lane, 126 to 93 in the top lane. The closest is ironically where all the action was happening early on, down in that bottom lane between Zefa and Minerva. But the problem is, it's a 2-0 Zefa, who's just about to complete his Trinity Force, while, well, you can see Minerva is a long way off his first item.
And once White Shield gets the lead, it's just gonna be push every single lane, take over your jungle. We talked about in Jam Select, they're going for Lebov in top
It's
lane.
a three-man pile on towards a Kael, which is tricky in itself, but they handle the crowd control very well. Danagorn comes around. He didn't want to join this party. He was not invited. Najin White Shield take him down. This is a 2v1 on the bottom lane though. Zefa and Minerva with this dance do catch him in the Howling Gale, but it's so disjointed they're not going in at the same time.
Perhaps the biggest story here, while all that action happened top lane, Zefa is 1 versus 2 and winning. Chases both of them off of this turret. He's that far ahead.
We even see on the other side of Kaboom here, Minerva is actually trying to get some early power by getting the Brutalizer, even going towards the Blade of the Rune King now, just to get some early power, and yet he can't do enough. Live up in this top lane. I mean, yes, he's Kael, he has his ulti, but there's nobody else there to save him.
And this is why you like to see bottom lanes. When your bottom lane gets so far ahead, have your support start roaming really early on. You mentioned the early mobility boots from Gorilla. He has been everywhere, creating plays in mid lane, creating plays up top, and it's a very easy dive when you have 3 versus 1.
So Najin White Shield turning on the power that they showed in their qualifying stages to reach this World Championships, proving exactly why they are the number 3 seed from the OGN champions. Najin White Shield, can they close this game out? That's the question. That's the big question right now. 7,000 gold lead. They were coming into this game gigantic favorites, but can they close the game out quick enough? I mean, obviously it doesn't matter in the end of the day. A win's a win, but we're looking at Samsung White. We're seeing how quick they were destroying opponents last week. That is what they're going to be judged on, especially in the Korean scene itself.
And Kaboom are putting up a very good fight here. They said that the one thing they wanted to do at Worlds was play Korean teams. When I interviewed TinOwns after they qualified, his first answer was, I'm just looking forward to playing any Korean team. He didn't even care which one it was. So he's very happy for Kaboom to be in this game and learning what they can from Najin White Shield's play.
Yeah, I mean, just playing against them, actually feeling the pressure they can apply on you, feeling how they can completely choke you out of the game by just taking over your own jungle, push up every single lane, just getting the feeling will make you understand it once you go back and watch the replay. So Kaboom can really use this as a learning experience, see how Najin White Shield is playing against them, use it themselves, or try and use it themselves once they come back into Brazil, or obviously playing in Brazil, but it's not over yet for them. This is only the first game in the group stage.
Well, it's a 4-man push from Najin White Shield as they drive on up that mid lane. Only Dan's and TinOwns there to defend them and clear out that wave, but it will be enough to back them off for now. So top lane, Save has been going head to head. Ggoong caught out with a charm and just immediately turns that aggression round on towards TinOwns. Is the Zhonya's hourglass enough to force him away? The Death Sentence lands back on and in goes Gorilla. Monsoon forces them away. And this time, for first time ever, Najin White Shield's ultimate is off point.
That was a really good disengage by Kaboom here. Yeah, Dan's on.
The cocoon lands on Zefa. Have they got enough to turn this back around though? Danagorn, he's repelled, but he's got nowhere to go. Comes back down, he's saved by the top lane of left. Zefa will turn this around. Close fights right now. This is a little bit of overconfidence coming out from Najin White Shield.
Well, they definitely have the power to back it up.
Leb just goes straight in. He's not got his ultimate available. He just used it a moment ago to save Danagorn. And that's an easy pickup for Save.
Yeah, once you lose control of your jungle, you can just run from mid lane to top lane and just feel like there's nobody waiting for you. Just keep, or you should need to tell yourself, every single time I walk into my own jungle, I'm going to die. So the way you have to move is simply by going back to your base actually and take the safe way up to the top lane unless you can get some wards in your own jungle yourself here.
Yeah, and you can tell he was trying to place a ward in that bush, but he wanted to place it in a good spot that would have a lot of vision coverage. However, that meant that he had to get too close to the bush. And actually, you just need to put your ward at the very edge of it without stepping too close, because this is a very, very fed Najin White Shield team. So they definitely have a huge upper hand right now if they meet you in any sort of even terms that are slightly in your favor, then they can easily kill you.
The one or two wards we now see in the top side of the jungle from Kaboom are really smart, especially the one close to their own base, because it means you can actually now run from mid lane to top lane as long as you can take the long way around. Don't walk straight into your own jungle here. Najin White Shield, of course, they're not going to stop. They want to keep getting full vision control here.
Yeah, they are all over Kaboom's jungle right now. The cocoon lands, but Ggoong quickly out of that one. Dan's now. Gorilla's quite confident in his play. He'll just walk up straight towards any one of Kaboom and flay them. Full confidence that the support of his team will follow through. The waves are being cleared though, so they are keeping them away for the towers for now as we hit the 20-minute mark.
So Kaboom at the moment, basically just sitting back, trying to defend, hoping White Shield is going to maybe dive onto them, and then you have the disengage from Janna, you have the ulti from Lab, you have the Hourglass as well for TinOwns in the mid lane. Try and bait White Shield to be over-aggressive, and then respond by getting a few kills. Seems to be the tactic for them now, and it's pretty much the only tactic they can use, so they're making the right call right here.
Yeah, the split push is working. There's a hook on TinOwns, has to use the Sonya's Hourglass. This is leaving the top lane tower completely exposed. Danagorn gets jumped on, doesn't quite get taken down. Zefa going deep on this one. Is it going to be enough? In comes Save, tries to flash in. Immediately TinOwns flashes away, but everybody on Kaboom is so low. Zefa flashes out of there, gets away with the Valkyrie, I think, at the end of the day. But it is Najin White Shield to push through, and they're going to clean up two towers on this one. The hook on left, followed through. Gorilla goes in. Intervention. Is it going to be enough to save the day? I don't think it is. The tower hits are not enough, and Najin White Shield continue their dominance and push through towards Kaboom's base.
Yep, they're flooding into the base at this point. Towers going down very, very quickly. 3 members, though, can try and clear out this wave. The problem is, there's also a lot of poke damage from Najin White Shield, so they're extremely far ahead, and they could continue to throw these rockets plus the cosmic missiles at you, and then those take out the minions, opens up a very clear pathway for Gorilla's hook. As we saw, already landed on one onto TinOwns, and that earns them a tower right there. So these Najin White Shield sieges, they could just continue to throw out the arsenal.
Oh no, Danagorn walking, wow! Now Save showing just how much damage he has built up over this time.
It's just the worst feeling in the game when you have no control of the map and you just know wherever you're going to go, there's a high chance you're going to die. I mean, I was on Copenhagen and Wolves when we were 0-9. This was every single game for us, just knowing, sit under your tower, wait for the enemy team to dive you, and then try and kill them, and rush a Baron if you do get a few kills to come back in the game. You can never go into your own jungle. It's fully controlled by the enemy team, and White Shield is one of the best teams in the world at just taking full control of the map.
Yeah, and you just saw actually the bottom lane support. Dan's heading, he was all the way up the top lane, and you gotta wonder what he's doing that far out of the base when you are being pretty much sieged in every single lane. Imagine White Shield just driving down this bottom inner turret. Don't think there's much Kaboom can do to keep them at bay here. As soon as Gorilla gets involved, he comes around, causes a presence, takes all the tower hits, and now they go aggressive. Monsoon forcing Watch away as he leapt in on Dan's. And that does mean Kaboom once again are pressured in 2 lanes. They catch out Ggoong. They tried to go aggressive, but again, just not quick enough. TinOwns with the charm was quickly jumped out of with that shadow.
And then as Des was talking about what can the other teams in the group, from watching this game, what can they learn? What we see from Najin White Shield is once they get the lead, they take full control, ward up everything, control your jungle, and keep pushing every single lane. And Kaboom at the same time, once they fall behind, we see them keep trying to fight here, and it's going wrong.
Intervention not available quick enough there. The rest of Kaboom caught out, in they go. Zefa diving deep on this one. TinOwns this time. The Sonya's Hourglass is only going to save him for so long. Watch is taken low though. He is alive, and Najin White Shield, they take themselves the inhibitor turret.
And the thing is,
that's hooked up for Kaboom here. They need to chase and try and get some kills.
Oh, but they're going to get trapped up. They're fighting the minions instead. They have to keep them at bay. They could have potentially picked up a bunch of kills there. Instead, they still yet to get a single tower.
Yeah, and the thing is, Najin White Shield really aren't giving away very much this game. They've got Ggoong on Zed. Everybody was expecting that. Everybody knows he really likes his assassins. Gorilla's Thresh, no surprise there. Save on Rise, very popular carry for him. So really, the reasons for the other teams in the group trying to say, what can we do to pick apart this? It's not that easy for them.
It's just to see how they play once they have the lead. Because the jungle, their warding patterns are going to be the same. The way where do they place the wards in the jungle? Notice how White Shield didn't try and bait a Baron yet. It's been all about the lanes.
Danagorn's just like, I didn't want to get near that guy. He's crazy.
Guys, to say Gorilla does have a blue elixir on right now too. So that extra AP cooldown reduction for Thresh. I mean, once you get the full cooldown reduction on Thresh, the game just becomes that much more fun.
Well, a 0-0-10 support. Not a bad thing for a Thresh player. Gorilla very much dominating this game everywhere he needs to be. Baron started off in the 25th minute, and there's not a great deal that Kaboom can do about this one. They dare not go into their jungle, yet alone venture all 5 members towards this Baron.
It's going to be all about the last defend here for Kaboom in their own base. They have home guards already on most of their members. I'm telling a lie, they have it on TinOwns at the moment, but the rest of the members should buy home guards here. Try and take the fight, disengage, you have the Janna to disengage, go back to base, heal up to full, just wait a few seconds obviously, and then try and rejoin and see if you can pick up a few kills.
Problem is they're so starved. Several of them are still sitting on level 1 boots here. Can't put home guards on those brown bags.
Well, the top lane, they tried to catch on Zefa, not quite enough. That was all 4 members of Kaboom in the top trying to lock on towards him. They still didn't quite have the power to take him down. The rest of Najin White Shield move in, start to disintegrate that top inhibitor turret. That will go down. The inhib will surely follow. In the mid lane, Save is pushing up with the super minions. That's the hook that counts. That is going to be left going down. And Najin White Shield are looking dominant here. 13-1 in kills, 26 minutes gone. Not a single turret lost for them. There's the flash from Save. They go in. The Monsoon blows him away, keeps him off there, but it's the Nexus turrets that will fall. It's Kaboom that will go down, and Najin White Shield will take their first victory in the World Championships group stage here. Slowly but surely, closing it out. Dominant win in the end. It was nothing to be that we didn't expect, honestly. I mean, it was a clear-cut deal from the beginning, but strong performance nonetheless.
Yeah, full control from White Shield here. We did see Kaboom, what their strategy was going into the game. A lot of focus on the top lane. We have Leb playing the kill, and they wanted to get him ahead here, wanted to be able to counter gank Watch, be able to try and gang onto Safe and get him shut down completely. Leb is one of the best top laners here in Brazil, if not actually the best. So I get the idea of like, let's try and snowball him and see what he can do, because if Kael becomes super strong, she can also beat a Zed in a one-on-one.
And I have to say, honestly, all of that top lane play that we saw up there with both top laners and the junglers, it's really impressive how Watch did not take the bait for all those counter ganks. I mean, you can see Kaboom were setting up counter gank after counter gank up there, really trying to count on him trying to come up and save. Yeah. But he never took the bait.
No, absolutely. It was a very confident performance, no doubt about it, for Najin White Shield. You showed that from the very start of Pick and Ban's first picking a Zed into this matchup. So much so, they're just straight off the stage. It's like, GG guys, we're off. They are going to go back to their desks and clear up their apparel. Of course, this is just the second game here in Singapore. First game of Group D, but what do we make of them? Of course, Alliance, Cloud9, the other teams in that group, which we will be seeing in 2 games' time. What do they take from this? What do they see from Najin White Shield? Because from what we're hearing in the early rumblings, they're actually pretty confident against this Korean team.
Well, I mean, Alliance and Cloud9 has been in Korea for quite a while now, boot camping. They're feeling very confident when you talk with the teams, but they also know you have to respect,
of course, yes,
a team like this. Like Najin White Shield is looking very, very strong. They've shown what they can do once they get the lead in the game. And Kaboom, well, you got to see how much focus they put on the top lane. You can use it. You got to see it on bottom lane, how they lost the trade in the start. They fell behind, and there was lacking some warding in the bottom lane. That's what you can take from it, and then make your tactic against Kaboom as well. I mean, they still have more games to play. They can still surprise. it's not like they're just going to auto lose every single game. They can still go in and surprise a team who's underestimating them.
If there's anything we've seen from, of course, Taipei, the two groups, in a group stage, a best of one effectively.
They can definitely go in and surprise
Anything can happen. You can definitely pull out some
Kaboom
surprises. Hashtag go Kaboom. So let's head back to the desk right now for more analysts on that match.
Thank you very much, guys. Fairly clear-cut win. I think Najin Shield coming out, got control of the game. They got Zed first pick. I really don't know if any team should be giving that up, especially not if your counter is Ari. It didn't really work out. Probably, what do you think of that?
I think, honestly, that Zed pick was almost a troll for the rest of the tournament. I don't think that's a Ggoong champion. He seemed really kind of shaky on it. He even started Door and Shield, which in the matchup Zed versus Ari, you don't want to start Door and Shield. You can actually get an advantage after you survive level 1 and level 2 with Zed and start poking them out. So taking like longsword 3 pots actually accentuates that kind of like lead that you need to get to.
Something that was highlight worthy though was like them picking away Kael from Save, because that was by far like his best champion, like most amount of wins. I think he's like, we looked up the stats, he's 4-1 on it. He has like nearly a 12 KDA almost. So you either need to ban Kael away from him or probably just pick it away from him. But then again, why if you pick Kael away and you've never played it in like your career, he will know that matchup in and out. Like he'll just get pushed when he has to. The jungler is ready for counter ganks. And I feel like Kaboom missed on an opportunity to dive the Ryze in top lane as well.
It's actually kind of funny. The Najin White Shield that played in regionals did a Kael Ari comp. And Kaboom does Kael Ari versus them. So I think they, in a way, copied the comp, but noticed, hey, Kael works pretty well with Ari. Hey, we can pick Ari into Zed. And they kind of just went off of that.
I think the problem that I had that game was a miscommunication with Kaboom in the sense that they really dipped their chip in top lane and put Elise trying to counter gank Kha'Zix nonstop. They had wards and she just sat in lane waiting and waiting and waiting for Kha'Zix to come up. But at the same time, you had Ari push in Zed and not harass him in mid lane. She'd back off, expecting Kha'Zix to go middle as well. So you're expecting him to go top and counter gank it, but you're not pressuring mid because you're also expecting him to go middle. Like, this guy's human, too. He can't literally gank top and mid at the same time.
It felt like Najin Shield just had a better idea of how to run the comp. They played out the map particularly well. I want to go back to the laning phase because I felt if you looked at Gorilla's Thresh and you contrasted it to Moore's Thresh in the first 5 to 10 minutes, it is day and night. Let's pull a replay up. And Crepo, I want you and Double to talk me through some of the plays and just how they asserted their lane dominance.
So yeah, like I wanted to really highlight how White Shield went. You can roll the clip already right now. So what you see is like blue side is leashing and red side is not. So like Kaboom is not leashing while White Shield is. That means by default, by bot lane logic, if both are ranged AD carry and ranged support, Kaboom should win this. They don't though. Like they lose the push. Look at these creeps. Q misses. Shield is too late. Foster's Bomb comes in, hits Janna, 2 autos. Bomb hits like 2 creeps or 3 creeps. Flay hits creeps and a champion as well.
And you never want to play defensive with Janna. The biggest problem I see is they're using shield and they're just using it to absorb damage. That's so wrong.
Double flay. Auto, phosphorus bomb. They're just pushed back. If Gorilla ignites here, that's flash blown, but they don't really care because we're flashing forward right now in time and this is the first blood.
Yep, they never even got to use the shield's AD. This entire laning phase, they never got to use any attack damage from Janna's shield, and right here it's just like really awful reaction time to that hook. He could have totally flashed it and actually won the trade, but in the end they just gave up first blood.
And the biggest highlight is in any bot lane, it's going to be a race to level 2, and if you're leashing, you should lose that race. What Kaboom should have done is either weaken the range creeps or landed better Lucian Qs with the AD bonus from the shield, initiated their trade, but they were the second one to react, and at the same time the Flays hit 2 creeps and a champion, the Phosphorus Bombs hit 3 creeps and a champion and 2 autos, and then they just rolled over and died.
Final thoughts?
I will say that if Shield continues to play Thresh Corki, which I would rate as like a 6 out of 10 lane when there's very easily available 8 or 9 out of 10 lanes, they're probably going to have a hard time bottom lane against Alliance and Cloud9.
I don't think that's a bad lane at all.
Really? I think their Corki is terrible.
I think it makes sense in the team comp, too.
It doesn't scale. It's not a good lane. You should lose to every Lucian and every Triss lane.
It's a good answer to a Lucian, in my opinion. It's the only early game like AD carry that can trade like Corki Q is compared to Lucian Q. Those trades are pretty good. Short trade with Thresh Lucian.
I think Lucian craps on Corki. It's not even a close matchup.
You don't need scaling when you have Zed, Ryze, and a Kha'Zix in your team. You just need a mid-game power
But if your
fight.
bottom lane is going to be super far behind. What's the point
You
of
won't
picking
get behind.
that lane?
Maybe
You will
not play
be.
Corki.
I
I'm with
guarantee you,
Prep on this
Sneaky and
one.
Tabs will cross that lane with Lucian.
I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to talk to our stat guys and see if we can find the win-loss ratios. We haven't seen much Corki, but we'll see if we can pull out some numbers and maybe we can add some stats to this little difference that we're having on the analyst desk. Guys, we do have to take a short break, and when we come back, it's another chapter in the Korea versus China rivalry. The Samsung Blue faces OMG.
No, okay, here goes Dive.
Oh, dive on the tower. Ggoong, is he going to have enough? That's the question. And they're going to clean up 2 towers on this one. The hook on left, followed through. Gorilla goes in. Intervention. Is it going to be enough to save the day? I don't think it is. Intervention not available quick enough there. The rest of Kaboom caught out. In they go. The inhib will surely follow in the mid lane. Save is pushing up with the super minions. That's the hook that counts.